This is the hip roof, I guess you would call it. It's an addition that was built onto the house before I bought it. And we've been having some ice dam issues on it. And it's one of those things that you're always, I should do that. But you only ever think about it, you know, once it's already damming up. So I knew this season I was going to get up here and fix it beforehand. And I opened it up to a very unpleasant surprise. I mean, I assume it's condensate. Because every screw coming down through the metal roof, it's a one-piece, 18-foot long sheet metal roof up here. And I know it's not the roof leaking, so it's got to be moist air. I've got an attic vent right there, and it's maybe, I don't know, 18 by 12, 20 by 12. And that's it. Nothing else in this entire run. I also have that fan vent. Now this vents a half bath, so there's no moisture, there's no bathroom, shower, or a tub or anything like that. But it just came up into here. It's just laying up here. That's a 4-inch hole that's letting hot moist air up in here in that ice dam. I'm gonna knock a hole in that wall and go ahead and put in a 12 by 12 attic vent so that we can get some blow through here. I've put this on when I first bought the house. It was so cold. It was so very cold. And there's no insulation. You know how old houses are. They didn't do it. So I just laid all this pink stuff in here, this pink fiberglass, and then I put this 2-inch rigid. Look at the chunks I had to cut it into to feed it up through. And I laid that on the wall all the way across. And I told myself I'd get back up here and deal with it. When I did that, none of this water and mold. So all I can think is that by sealing the rest of the house up, as we've slowly rebuilt parts of it, I have caused this to be the last one. And I know I've got another similar, totally sealed off space over the laundry room, and having come in here, I realize now that I gotta do something with that. So yeah, I mean, I know the roof's tar papered, but I got condensate water hanging. The sparkles you can see on the beam there, that's pitch. But look at how they put these together. Huh? What a winner idea that was. So your roof rafters are 2x4s, and then you went ahead and cut 1 inch out of them to make the angle line up. For the life of me, I don't know why. They did that rather than furring a 3/4 inch strip on top of the rafters to make their plywood sheeting line up in one run. So that's why they cut all those. So yeah, again, I think I'm going to get up in here. I'm going to go measure and knock a hole in that far wall, which I love cutting 80-year-old shingles and trying to keep them from splitting. Knock a hole in that far wall, put that vent in down there. Then I am going to punch a hole in this far wall and run that bathroom fan out there, so even if it just leaks a little heat, it leaks it outside. Then I think I'll get a couple of cans of that spray foam, and I'll come all the way back along this hip wall, all the way back down, and go ahead and try to spray foam and seal every last crack where heat might be sliding up. This section of roof right here will not hold snow. Just flat will not hold snow. And what it does is it melts it and it ice dams at the eaves, because the eaves are cold, and then it just builds ice back. And I've had up to 4 inches, 5 inches of ice back there, and that 4-inch, if that fan is leaking enough heat to melt this off, or if the fact that it's just not open and vented, if the house isn't really leaking that much heat. Because like I said, I have this 2-inch, and then now after the remodel on the other side I have a vapor barrier and R19. So whatever this Corning stuff is here, I don't know what R it is, but there should be a lot in that wall behind me, so that hip wall shouldn't be leaking heat anymore. And this is, you know, it's like R30, R34 up here. It ain't the most special thing in the world, but it should be adequate. Anyways, I'm thinking that vent, let's get this air in here cold, let's get it vented, let's get the moisture out so that it stops melting that roof down. And then let's get that bathroom fan outside and sealed up. Those are my plans. But given a little bit of mold that started up here and this old nasty fiberglass, I'm gonna have to mask up. Fun.
So now I'm down here at the far end, and what I'm gonna do is mark up where I'm gonna put it. This is 2x4s laid flat. It's just an end wall, and on the other side of that is my wood shingles. So I'm gonna cut up some 2x material and make a box, so to speak. That'll just be 12 1/4 by 12 1/4. My vent is 12 inches, and so as long as I get it in there nice and square, then the vent will fit. After that, we'll drill a hole in each of the corners, go on the outside, connect those holes together and mark it out, and I can try to cut the shingles from the outside. I'm trying not to shatter the shingles, so I'm going to use one of those vibrating sort of buzz saws. We'll see if it works. Never used one before. We'll find out. Some we guess we call them 2x2s, but we all know they're 1.5 by 1.5 inch, and I just made a box with them. That allowed me to line up my drill in the corners of the box and drill nice straight holes. Additionally, it gives me some solid material to screw into. Not that the vent is structural, mind, but this is just the proper way to do it. It's right there.
So here's the finished hole. So you can see I cut out right for the, oh, I missed a spot right there. Anyways, I cut out for the vent, and then I put the vent in here, and I marked around the outside edge, and I trimmed this back. So when I come in, I'll lay a strip of flashing, and I'll just wedge these shingles up a little bit, get them down below those shingles, and then I'll put it in. And I'll do the same thing up here, and I'll wedge up these shingles just a little bit up there. And then the vent sits in there, and then I'll put a trim in. So I won't have shingles coming all the way to the edge of this. It's just too much work to try to pull the whole wall off and get the shingles in there. But there's inside. And I can feel the warm, moist air pouring. You can actually see the spider webs moving around. There's so much heat pouring out of here right now, which is, that's probably, you know, I have the trap door open, but that's fine. I'll let it exhaust and vent for a bit. So now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put that flashing in here. Then I'm going to lay a bead of silicone all the way around the outside edge. Then I'm going to drop that in, and then I'm going to slip the flashing in up on top, and then I'll hammer it in place with some small nails, just a few of them. Then I'll cut my trim, redo my bottom shingles here, and we should be good to go. And there it is, all installed. And I've never been particularly neat with the caulking, but I do know that it'll hold. So it's sealed across the top. All the flashing is in there. This is just cedar wood trim. It's a fence board that I cut up, and then I sealed around the cedar, and I did not seal across the top, so if any water gets in behind it can drip down, and I did seal in here so that if any water gets in here it just rolls on and over. Although, I mean, come on, you take hurricane force winds to get anything up here, so it's pretty unlikely. And then obviously once the crappy caulking job dries, I'll paint it, and you'll never know I did any of it. So there it is, one attic crawl space vent installed. Now the air can push all the way through, and I'm hoping that this will stop my ice dam problems out of the attic crawl space anyways, so we can get prevailing winds passing all the way through. I don't know. That's my hope. I guess we'll find out this winter. Well, this is some nice timing. First snowfall of the year, and it's a nice 1-inch dusting, so it reacts really quick to the heat. You can see I got a heat loss hole right there, and at the very top of the ridge line where some of the vents are. But this whole section of roof does not appear. I mean, we're on the plumbing stack, but that's the heat from the plumbing coming up. It's too early in the morning to see if it'll melt off well before the rest of them. That little bit right there, that's the shower, and I think the shower's in this corner. I think they haven't insulated behind the shower properly, so it's wicking up the wall, the top of the wall. But here we are at the end of the day, and that tells a very successful story. So these two windows are the two back-to-back bathrooms. That's where the plumbing stack goes up. That's where both those bathroom root vents are. And, you know, those hoses, such as they are, the one comes up and just lays in there, and the other one comes up and goes across. None of it's insulated, so you're losing a 4-inch hole all the way up, and then you're losing through those pipes. So I've got to lift all the batting and put those pipes under the insulation, keep that heat in there. So I think that's that vent there. It's interesting how many things you can see. This one, that is the attic vent. That's the main attic access is right there, and they're kind of in a line. The hip roof attic access is right there. This is that bathroom shower that isn't properly insulated up in there, and that hole up a little higher, that's a closet wall that is like a conduit, whoosh, just providing heat straight up inside that wall and then dumping out, because this thing isn't built the way modern houses are. So the vertical support walls go all the way from the basement all the way up to the top with no heat blocking. So as a result, it can just go straight up. But and you can actually see some ice still building, and you know, some of you might consider that bad, but you have no idea what it used to do. So there's old ice dam damage, that water coming back out of the wall, hitting the layers of tar paper and the layers of shingles and getting kicked out and coming down. So before I did this whole band would have melted off while I was at work. And the fact that any of it is still there is just amazing. And I'll get those two vents taken care of. Hopefully I'll get that hole cut tonight. I borrowed a 4.5-inch hole saw, so I'll get that taken care of. And I think if we don't have it licked, at least we've kicked it real hard in the teeth. So here's hoping for some long-term winter success, because I think with the weather closing in, this is the best we're going to get for this year.
Alright, here you can see what I've done up here. Up there at the front, that's my new line. It runs straight. I have two 90s. I go up and over L shape, the top of the existing line, and I come in hard aluminum all the way back to right here, short of plastic line as possible. I then took and laid this bat of R19 on top of it, just to try to keep the heat in the hose. That part up there, coming out of the house, that's been wrapped in fiberglass, at least as far back as I had fiberglass wrapping, so about 3-4 feet. Yeah, it's probably only another 4 or 5, but it's still good enough. The other line, I pulled up the existing fiberglass insulation and I ran the line underneath of it, so that it is also trapped under at least R19. And I'm hoping that between the two, I mean, these lines have always been a heat loss, and they always will be a heat loss. But if I can keep the heat loss out of this area, then I won't have to deal with the moisture and the heat up here. And I can tell you the difference overnight and how dry this is amazing. So I believe that the attic vent and getting this 4-inch hole ported outside like it's supposed to be, I believe that will solve all of my ice dam and eventual molding issues. It'll take care of all of it. So that's how I did it. Seems to look and work pretty well.